it's Mrs. Olds. So today I'm going to teach you all of the different stages of clay that you need to know so that you know what to do at different times with your art pieces. We start with slip, then we go to plastic clay, then we have leather hard, and there's 3 different stages within the leather hard category. Then we have bone dry, bisque, and mature. So I'm going to go through all of those. That way you know and understand them. Okay, let's start with your bag of goodies that you picked up for me. Okay, you've got your mat. All your clay stays on this mat, okay? You're going to have a container like this that you are going to put slip in, which is our first stage of clay. This is some slip that I've already prepared, or it's getting ready. I'll show you in a minute. Then you've got all your tools, right? Okay, so slip is our first stage. It's in here, okay? So I'm going to show you what it is and we'll talk about it. So in your little container, you're going to add water, and then you are going to also be picking up a bag of clay for me. So I want you to just take some of that wet clay and put it in this water and let it sit. Then you're going to start smashing it together like this. See what I'm doing? I'm just making a muddy mess out of it, okay? So slip is like potter's glue. It's the glue that's going to hold your pieces together. So what I'm doing right now is mixing it together, just smashing it up against the side, because I want it to be the consistency of toothpaste. So think of toothpaste when you squeeze it out of the container. That is what you want your slip to be like. Right now, see how it's got little chunks like this? This is not toothpaste yet. So you just need to keep mixing and mixing and mixing until you get a toothpaste consistency. The next stage is plastic. You're gonna get a bag like this full of clay. It's gonna be all wet and plasticky, stage 2. This plastic clay is very moldable, blendable. You can start to construct now. You can make a pinch pot, you can make coils, you can attach pieces together, okay? So think about, good time for like modeling your clay, which means forming and shaping it. It is very cool to the touch right now because it has what in it? Water, right? So the next stage is leather hard. And leather hard, it's still cool to the touch because it has water in it still. It's the best time to do like slab construction. By the time it starts to get into the leather hard stages, you don't want to be molding and mixing it anymore because then it will break, okay? But within the leather hard category, we've got early, middle, and late stages. So the early leather hard stage, you can still move it without it cracking or damaging your piece. So if I were maybe to make like a little pinch pot out of this and let it sit for about 30 to 40 minutes, it would start to get the early stage of leather hard. I could still move it a little bit slightly without cracking it, okay? So that's early leather hard stage, a little bit drier than plastic, which is what this is right here. Okay, the middle leather hard stage would obviously be a little bit drier than that early. At this point, you can no longer move it without cracking or damaging it. So if I were to start moving this piece and it was a little bit drier than this, it would start cracking and damaging. If I wanted to like move, like maybe make a little rim like this, it would crack off. But right now it's not because it's plastic, okay? It would still be a little bit cooler to the touch, but the middle stage is a perfect time to add textures. You can add all kinds of cool textures at that point in time. You can carve into the clay, but I like to do carving at the later stage instead of the middle stage because it's nice and clean. So the late leather hard stage would be this, okay? This is from a student who left it over the summer and covered it in plastic and it just never completely dried out. So I could literally take a ribbon tool like this, which is one of the tools you have in there, and look, I can carve out. Do you see how nice and clean the carving is, If I had a piece that is plastic, well actually let me just use this little pot. If I had a piece that's plastic and I try to carve out on a plastic piece, You could slip, you know, and it's just you take too much out, and I'm almost like all the way through. There's almost a hole in here because I carved too much. So it's easier to carve too much if it's plastic. So that's why you want to wait until it's later stage like this, and you can carve out nice and smooth. Okay, this is bone dry. This has been sitting out about a week. It's a cute little mug that somebody had made, and look at the color. Look at the difference in color. You can tell, right? This has water in it still. This one's gonna be dry. It's not gonna be cool to the touch anymore. It's gonna feel warmer. It is ready to be fired, okay? Bone dry. Notice that I'm not lifting it by the handle. If I was holding it by the handle right now, the handle would pop off because there's too much weight over here. This is the very fragile. The most fragile your clay will be is the bone dry, okay? So you really need to be careful with it and not bang it on anything. Be careful the way you hold it. Just take care of it at this point. No carving should be done at bone dry stage. Remember that. Next stage we call bisque. B-I-S-Q-U-E. This is a bisque piece. This is a little mug that I had thrown last semester, and a bisque piece has been fired one time, okay? This went into the kiln at about 1,925 degrees, pretty hot, and it has been fired one time, okay? Vitrification has occurred. That means when something's vitrified, that means all the little glass particles inside of the clay melt together, vitrified, okay? So your clay is going to look white when it comes out of the kiln after the first fire, which is a bisque fire. Okay, the last stage is glazeware. Glazeware is a finished piece of ceramics that has a coat of glaze on it, and further vitrification has occurred. Remember that vitrified piece has the little clay particles inside. They're kind of like little rocks. They melt together and make the piece extremely strong. So this is a glazeware piece. Finished, completely finished product. Okay, to review, we have slip, which is the glue that holds your piece together. We have plastic, which is the very bendable, moldable, wet clay. Then we have the leather hard stages, early, middle, and late for carving, okay? Then we have bone dry. It's ready to go into the kiln. Then we have a bisque piece that's fired once, right? And then we have our finished piece, which is called glazeware. So it's very important to know what to do at each stage of clay so that you don't destroy your projects this semester, okay? So try to remember those. Try to remember when it's good to carve, when it's not good to carve. We will talk about more specifics with the different stages of leather hard and what you should and shouldn't be doing. We'll talk about how to use the slip and attaching pieces and things like that later on, okay? Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.